So the President of the United States just announced a 25% trade tariff on Canadian and Mexican goods. And it's just really frustrating to watch because it's hard to see how this benefits anybody in the world. Least of all, the working class, poor Americans who overwhelmingly elected this president under the pretense that he would help them, that he would lower the price of eggs, lower the cost of living, and help make their lives easier. It's clear that he's not acting in that way. So I'll give you a little Econ 101 on how these tariffs work. So anytime you impose a tariff on goods coming from another country, if you're America, it's the American company that gets slapped with the tariff. So American importers are trying to import goods from Canada. They're now having to pay 25% more to get the same product. So what are they going to do? They're obviously going to pass that along to the consumer. Their prices have to go up. Otherwise, their margins are going to be too thin. They're not going to make any money. Right? So what that does to the cost of that thing, whether it's eggs or anything else that the United States gets from Canada or Mexico, and we have to remember that the US is a net importer, not a net exporter, which means it imports more than it exports. So you're going to see the prices of everyday items that Americans rely on go up. Now, this is a very inflationary effect on the economy. And what's really, really difficult is you also happen to have a government that hates raising the minimum wage. So essentially you have wages that are going to stay stagnant, but the cost of living is going to go up because of these tariffs. Now, that's not even factoring in retaliatory tariffs, which, if you're the Canadian or Mexican government, you are obviously going to do. That's to be expected. Don't hold it against those governments. Any government would act in that way to defend its people in the face of completely fucking unprovoked trade tariffs announced out of nowhere, out of absolutely nowhere, for no reason. Some, state senator or government, rambling on about fentanyl. There's no fentanyl coming into the US from Canada. That's total fucking bullshit. Anyway, once again, you have a president that is not acting in the best interest of the people who elected him. And once again, you have poor working class Americans who are going to suffer the most. And for that, I'm sorry.
So today it was announced that the Americans are imposing 25% tariffs across the board on Canadian exports into the States. What this means is that Americans are now going to pay a 25% tax on anything that you bring in from Canada. This is going to cause economic pain throughout Canada and the United States. It's going to increase the cost of building, increase the cost of living, and just generally increase costs all around the board by putting this big tax on trade. We've been free trade partners relatively for a very long time. We are the Americans' biggest export market. We're also their biggest trading partner. This is nonsense. It's stupid. There's no good reason for doing this. It's Trump trying to make some sort of political point. And then he's going to make up an arbitrary time when he decides that point has been fulfilled and go, oh, okay, my conditions have been met. And now we're going to remove the tariffs.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about something that has gotten a lot of Canadians fired up. Trump's decision to slap a 25% tariff on Canadian imports. But let me tell you, the way Canada has responded, iconic. If you've ever doubted how united this country can be, this is your proof.
We'll be ripping up our contract with Elon Musk's Starlink. Ontario won't do business with people hell-bent on destroying our economy. President Trump is the only person to be blamed. Maybe Elon Musk can call his buddy, and this is one of the ramifications. This is the ramifications when we stop selling $1 billion worth of liquor, and that goes across the country. A lot of premiers have called me up and said they're doing exactly the same. Tim Houston is doing it, and other provinces are doing it, and I encourage them to do it. I think this is a Team Canada approach. We have to stay united, and we have to make sure that we protect, in our case, Ontario jobs and Canadian jobs. That's what this is about.
As British Columbians and as Canadians, we'll stand strong and united in the face of this unprecedented attack. This is not a fight we started, but we will respond firmly and forcefully. Here in BC, we support a strong Team Canada approach to stand up to Donald Trump. For our first of many steps, effective today, I have directed BC liquor sales to immediately stop buying American liquor from red states. Liquor store employees will be removing the most popular of these brands from government stores' shelves. I have directed government and our crown corporations, like BC Hydro, ICBC, and health authorities, to immediately stop buying American goods and services and buy Canadian. And finally, we have communicated our full support to the federal government for a comprehensive, targeted set of national tariffs against American products. We call on them to act with urgency. The Americans are bigger, but if we don't stand up for ourselves, they'll just keep coming back for more.
The tariff war has officially started, so you know what we need to do. Let's gear up and go shopping. The most important thing I learned is the difference between product of Canada and made in Canada. For example, if it's labeled made in Canada, that means only 51% had to be made in Canada. Whereas you want to look for product of Canada because that means 98% Canadian content. Right away, I had to put down my favorite fruits because product of USA. Love that the store is highlighting local finds because supporting local is even better than at the federal level. Not gonna lie, I had to hold my breath checking my favorite sriracha. Indeed, it is made in the USA. Burn it. Here's the tip. Any prepackaged food must show the name and address of the manufacturer, so that's a dead giveaway. Say goodbye to Heinz and hello to French's. Folgers is definitely a product of USA. Here are some Canadian alternatives. Although Tim Hortons is now American owned, so you tell me. So many great Canadian cheeses, they're even putting them front and center. Stay tuned because there are so many brands that I almost got tricked by.
War is officially on, so if you're Canadian, now more than ever is it so important to be shopping Canadian products. I'm heading to the grocery store now. I'm going to put together a list of all the products that are either made in Canada or products of Canada, so it's easier for you to do your next grocery shop. When shopping for produce, these are the labels that you want to be looking out for.
Take your flowers, Canada. Take your flowers.
Let's go to the bakery section. Dempster's is a Canadian brand. BC and No Name products are both Canadian. Luckily, we have great Ontario dairies, so shopping for cheeses, milks, anything dairy related shouldn't be a problem. Just look for this sign. Let's go to the snack aisle. Cavendish Farms, Canadian brand. These are the best kinds of fries anyways. KD. Crispy Minis are made in Canada. Crispers are also made in Canada. Miss Vicky's, of course. Primo. Catelli Pasta. Coleman's is made in Canada. Heinz Ketchup is made in Canada, but I believe French's is a Canadian brand. Nutella is made in Canada. This is made with 100% Canadian oats. I'm not gonna lie, that took way longer than anticipated, so here's a list of everything I found to make it easier for you.
Come shopping with me for all Canadian products since Trump wants to fuck around. Starting off with apples, where you can see nice and clear, product of Canada. Then we have my oat milk by Earth's Own, and guess where that's made? Canada. And I couldn't leave the store without some snacks, so I'm gonna get some Canadian chips. And honestly, I'm not really a fan of Kraft Dinner anymore, but Canada! Give me those fucking Canadian pot stickers. And last but not least, Canadian peanut butter!
So Trump wakes up one day and decides that Canada, a country that has been one of America's closest allies, is now a threat to the United States economy. He hits us with a 25% tariff, blaming immigration and fentanyl. Make it make sense. What does trade have to do with border control? And let's not even talk about the fact that most fentanyl entering the United States comes from other countries and not Canada. Only less than 1% comes from Canada. But guess what? Canada was not here for that nonsense. Now, one thing about Canada is that Canadians are polite, but they are not pushovers. The moment Trump announced that 25% tariff, the Canadian government didn't even hesitate. They hit back right away with their own tariffs on American goods. And when I say hit back, I mean they went straight for the things that will hurt American businesses the most.
Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time, to to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives. Our response will also be far-reaching and include everyday items such as American beer, wine, and bourbon, fruits and fruit juices, including orange juice, along with vegetables, perfume, clothing, and shoes. It'll include major consumer products like household appliances, furniture, and sports equipment, and materials like lumber and plastics, along with much, much more. And as part of our response, we are considering, with the provinces and territories, several non-tariff measures, including some relating to critical minerals, energy, procurement, and other partnerships. We will stand strong for Canada. We will stand strong to ensure our countries continue to be the best neighbors in the world.
We are talking tariffs on steel, aluminium, and get this, American whiskey, ketchup, and even orange juice. Like, they went for the heart of grocery carts. Imagine waking up in the United States thinking you're about to enjoy your usual breakfast, only to realize that Canada has just made your orange juice and pancakes way more expensive. That's the level of pettiness I love to see. And let's not forget that Canada is one of the biggest buyers of American exports. So these tariffs weren't just symbolic, they sent a clear message. If you're gonna come for us, best believe we are coming right back for you.
5% tariff on some American imports. But unfortunate events sometimes help and create opportunity. So I think it's an opportunity for some of our companies to replace American products, to develop new products, and to develop new markets. Thank you.
See, when the province of Quebec gets involved, oh, you know it's serious. The province that is known for its strong protection of local industries immediately backed the federal government's countermeasures. Stores in Quebec quickly started labeling United States and Canadian products separately, making it easier for shoppers to choose local options over American imports. And Quebec media didn't hold back either. One major newspaper even ran a bold headline calling Trump stupid for his decisions, basically saying that attacking Canada, a top trading partner, was a reckless move that will hurt the United States economy just as much as it will hurt Canada. And when a province with a history of doing its own thing is fully on board with the rest of Canada, you know the pushover is serious.
What I'm telling you is things are going to change from my end. I no longer look at Americans or American-made products or property, anything like that. American exports that are coming into Canada, I view harshly now. I am looking at every product I buy. If it's made in the United States, I am not buying it. And I am also involved in the supply chain. So we spec equipment and building envelope materials and a lot of things about the construction of buildings through my firm. We spec equipment for HVAC, which primarily has been coming out of the States. No more. We are not speccing any more American-made equipment unless the customer explicitly asks for it. But we cannot trust what the price of that product is going to be when it crosses the border, because Canada is going to respond with retaliatory tariffs. So we're getting rid of that. We're going to Asian markets and to European markets for all of our products that we're putting into houses. Now, we're going to build this in as a habit. And from my company, I could say that the economic impact is going to be probably a reduction over the next couple of years of a couple $1 million worth of material and equipment that will not come across the border because I'm not speccing it. I'm also going to go to everybody that I know who is involved in the supply chain across Canada, and I'm going to start working on this in other ways to encourage other people involved in the supply chain to remove American-made from the supply chain. We used to look at you guys as partners, neighbors, friends. I used to look at American-made as a positive thing because it was coming a shorter distance than coming from Asia or Europe. That's done. That's over. We're not speccing American-made anymore. I'm avoiding it and I'm removing it. Sorry, that's what happens. It's stupid, and until you guys sort your stuff out, we're not going back. Until you prove that you can be an actual friend and neighbor again, which will definitely not be within the next 4 years, This is going to continue, and we're going to ingrain these habits into our trades and into our building practices. So goodbye.
And here is where things get even more interesting. Some Canadian businesses didn't just stop at personal boycotts. They took actions right on their shelves, on their store shelves. Grocery stores, retail stores, and even small businesses have been pulling American-made products from their inventory. Some of them are replacing those products with like Canadian alternatives, while others are making it painfully obvious which items are from the United States. In fact, some stores have started labeling products as either made in Canada or made in the United States for customers to avoid American goods altogether. One store owner even said, why should we do the work of checking labels when the United States government made it clear that they don't want fair trade? Will, the shade, it's actually wild to see this level of national solidarity. Some shoppers are literally walking into stores and flipping products over to check for products of the USA and then putting them right back on the shelf. At least I know I do the same. And let's be so real, there are so many Canadian-made alternatives that this boycott is not even an inconvenience for most people. Now, this is where things get even more interesting. As soon as Canada hit back, the stock market reacted and it wasn't looking good. US investors panicked. Businesses were worried about losing Canadian customers. And suddenly, Trump wasn't so confident anymore. Within 48 hours, he came back and said, okay, let's put this on hold for 30 days while we talk. My question is this: if the policy was so good, why did he change his mind so fast? Is it because Canada called his bluff? The truth is, a lot of the terms he suddenly agreed to were already in place under Biden's administration. I think he just needed a win to show his supporters, and it backfired. So Canada isn't taking any chances. And even though there is a temporary pause, Canada isn't sitting around waiting. Nope. The country has been out here securing new trade deals to make sure we are not overly dependent on the United States. Canada just finalized a deal with Ecuador. So if you love fresh flowers, canned tuna, or even textiles, best believe Canada is securing a bag elsewhere. And that's not all. Canada also locked in an economic partnership with Indonesia, focusing on critical minerals because, let's be real, the world runs on those right now. And of course, we are strengthening ties with the European Union, building on existing agreements to keep trade flowing. In short, Canada is like moving smart, making sure that if the United States ever pulls another stunt, they are not left scrambling. This situation could have been a disaster, but instead, it turned into a moment of solidarity, resilience, and strategic planning. Canadians are making it clear that they will not be pushed around. Honestly, this whole thing has made me even prouder of Canada. The way people came together, the way businesses and leaders took action, it's inspiring and it's a lesson. When you stand your ground, bullies back down. Whether it is trade, politics, or everyday life, Canada showed that unity is powerful. What do you guys think about all of this? Are you making an effort to support small Canadian businesses? Have you noticed stores in your area labeling America versus Canadian products? Let me know in the comments. So YouTube thinks you will love this video over here. And if you enjoyed this particular video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss my next one. See you on the next video. Au revoir.